husky.
Good morning, it's another day, my friend. But soon the sunshine turns to moonlight, life goes on. You take some time to say goodnight, you close your eyes to dream next thing tomorrow's here again.
It's a brand new day, never hold on to hate. Cause you was placed here to be great. Please take your place. All queens got a seat at my table. Cause without y'all, then the man ain't able. Melanated queen, connected to the universe. And so I gotta thank my mom for my birth. If hate is the curse, then love is the remedy. So I send you love no matter creed or identity. Until infinity, look at you like you kin to me. Even when we disagree, yo, you still kin to me. In other words, I can't bring you no trouble, can't bring you no beef, don't wanna see you deceased. Now if I'm coming at you, I'm coming with a business plan. Cause every day I'm on some, yo, let's get this money, man. Yeah, and that's my real plans. I rest my head at night, I wake up, I got another plan.
Good morning, it's another day, my friend. But soon the sunshine turns to moonlight, life goes on.
Tell me why we don't get money together, but we'll kill each other over whatever. Running down the freeway, we gonna own down. If Black Lives Matter, why we gonna own down? That's why they laugh and they think that we clowns. They hear what we say, but see how we get down. We gotta change that now, right now to be exact. Cause hurting that man's moms is not where it's at now. Old school, new school, need to learn, yo. They put us in groups so they can make more dough. The young versus the old versus the young. Black versus white, you see the pattern, right? No unity, keep them all on some gutter-ish. This way they don't prosper and get rich. Yo, can't you see it's a trick? Just open your third eye and you'll see the full view of it. Now yo, what if the powers that be know that the real power lies within the people? That's us. And what if they using things like crayon colors, black and white, to separate the people? Hey, yo, you gotta wake up. Don't let them fool y'all. Spread love.
Good morning, it's another day, my friend. But soon the sunshine turns to moonlight, life goes on. You take some time to say goodnight, you close your eyes to dream next thing tomorrow's. Good morning, it's another day, my friend. Soon the sunshine turns to moonlight, life goes on. You take some time to say goodnight, you close your eyes to dream next thing tomorrow's here again. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning.
All right, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We're in the building. Y'all know what to do. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can see me. We're about to get into it. Happy Wednesday. Hopefully y'all are doing well. I see all the 1s in the chat. We're about to get going. But first we got to make sure everything's looking good. Hopefully I'm going to be centered. Oh, look at that. Looking all crispy and clean on the screen. Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back to another YouTube live stream and another episode of the Music Morning Show. I'm your host, ClassE Beats of ClassEbeats.com. Today, I don't know, we might be in another waiting room when it comes to this YSL trial. I don't know what's going on. There's rumors flying all over the place. Most recently, a rumor that Young Thug might be looking at a plea deal. God. All right, here we go. We're going to get into it here in a second. But before we do, let's go ahead and say good morning to the people. Shout out to everybody who's in here. Of course, you know what time it is. We have the awesome, amazing Amy is in the building. And I know a bunch of y'all were waiting on me. I apologize for the delay. Had to get a few things together. So we're good. Drama Llama's in here. Good to see you in here, Drama Llama. We've got Andrea's in the building. Says, my husband is trying to find good morning as a ringtone as he likes it so much. Shout out to the bishop. We've got Turquoise Tigers in here. Adam's in the building. Skur is back in here. My guy Mark is in the building as well. Leona's in here. Rice Street, of course. Michi, good to have you back, as well as Samantha's in the building. Who else we got? S. Dot. We got Detroit up in here. What's up? Says, I'm eager to see what will come about today. I don't live in Atlanta, but I really hope you all do your due diligence and vote Fanny and her cronies out. I did my part. Hopefully y'all did too. Jonathan's in here. Deborah A. Fitz is in here, is giving me grief for being late. I'm sorry. We got Just a Girl and Her Dog. Monica's in here. Shout out to Cookie Cooks. We've got Mr. Spiffy. Monty and the Murphys is in the building as well. Shout out to the Honorable Attorney Kel Bell. Says, good morning, everyone. I missed the live show yesterday, but I watched it last night. I'm not a sensitive person, but seriously teared me up. Oh man, that felt so wrong. Yeah, we're gonna go through the plea deal here shortly, so Kel Bell, we can go through it, and if you have any insight you'd like to give on some of the terms that are used in this plea deal, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Randall King is in the building. What's up, man? We got Focus is in here. Jay Buckmaster's in the building. Walter Waller Custom Leather is in here too. Valencia's in the building. Shout out to Kristen. There she is. Shout out to Kristen Lee. Robert Wendell is up in here too. Mark says, Classy Beats, I hope you read my first post to you. My question is, when this gets going again, did the P team use their time well, the prosecution team, and get organized and find evidence? So Mr. Adams.
Right. And so what we have ultimately is that there is no evidence. None.
No. I highly doubt that is the case, but thank you for asking, Mark. If you have that type of faith in the prosecution, I think they would appreciate it because they need it right now. Nikki is in here. Shout out to Nikki, and Crystal is in the building as well. Debbie in here. We got Lavisa in the building. All right, I'm going to be saying good morning to a bunch of y'all in the chat as we go throughout the show. Y'all shout out your city. Where is everybody at? The Red Cupcake Talks podcast with Mika. Oh, Mika's in the building. Hey, listen, y'all go subscribe and go follow the Red Cup Talks podcast with Mika. I appreciate you being here, Mika. What you doing up so early? Boy, it is early. You can find Mika over on After Hours on a regular basis over on the After Hours channel hosted by Anton Daniel. She does a great job over there. She also has her own show and her own YouTube channel as well, so y'all make sure go support her. She does an amazing job, is very, very professional, and she's been doing this for a long time. So if y'all want to see these type of things done the right way, especially when it comes to podcasts and hear some interesting topics, go check out the Red Cup Talks podcast with Mika up in here. All right, y'all go show Mika some love, and I think Amy's probably the only mod in here right now. Amy, if you could do me a favor and drop the link to Mika's YouTube channel, I would appreciate it. Shout out to Mika for being over here this morning. All right, y'all ready to go ahead and get into it? The trial has not started yet, so we've got a lot of things we have to get into, especially with everything going down yesterday that happened with Mr. Nichols taking a plea deal. Now, as Kel Bell said, it was very emotional. Mr. Harvey was up there. Oh my gosh, he was crying. It was tough to watch. I mean, it was a very emotional time. And even Doug Weinstein came out this morning and talked about how the defense team as a whole is just going to be at a disadvantage not having him on their side. We saw several motions from Bruce Harvey, most notably one of my favorite motions throughout this trial, to where he basically gave Judge Whitaker a warning about everything that was going to happen leading up until now. He was almost able to see the future in so many instances. He said, Judge Whitaker, you have not been here this entire trial. There's so much that's gone on. We've already seen a mountain of prosecutorial misconduct from Miss Love and Miss Hilton specifically. But with that being aside, there is no way you're able to have a background on this case that's been going on for over 2 years before you got here. Judge Whitaker, she took a little bit of offense to that. We did a whole video on it. And Bruce Harvey stood 10 toes down. He's like, hey, I'm sorry, Judge. Like, you can be offended by that if you want to, but it is what it is. The amount of evidence and the lack thereof, the amount of witnesses we're going to have to go through, and then you're going to rely on essentially the B team of the Fulton County's DA's office to be the ones to execute this trial. It's just going to be a mess, Judge Whitaker. She didn't listen. She didn't ground a mistrial. She had time after time after time. Bruce Harvey did an amazing job throughout this entire trial, not only defending his client, but being an asset to the defense as well. So shout out to Bruce Harvey. I know a lot of y'all are going to miss YSL Ponytail, but I know Mr. Nichols is happy with the deal that he got. And we're going to go ahead and get into it as well. Let me say what's up to a couple people in here and remind y'all that the #1 way you can support this channel is by liking the video. We have almost 2,000 people in here. If y'all could take 2 seconds and just click the like button, it's not going to hurt you. And not only does it help the show to grow, but it lets the YouTube algorithm know that you're enjoying the show, and it shares the video with more people. So if y'all could take a second and do that, I would appreciate it. Mika says she's always up early out there getting it. Yeah, you know, those DC streets do not sleep. Sean P is in the building too. Always good to see you, Sean P. And again, y'all make sure you go subscribe to Mika's channel over there. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So I know yesterday, as y'all are well aware, I am not a lawyer. I know this is a shock to a lot of you. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an attorney. And I was struggling hard trying to figure out what Judge Whitaker was saying when the plea was entered for Mr. Nichols. Now we have a lot more clarification on what his plea means, what it's going to look like for him moving forward, how much time he's going to spend in prison, and how much probation he is going to get as well. And Amy actually early this morning was giving me some more insight into how the probation could work. I'm going to try and get y'all to pressure her to call in and talk a little bit more about it. But shout out to Thugger Daily for this insight here. He says a little insight into Nichols' plea negotiations via his wife. Great to see how much time the state was offering at first and how much his lawyers got it down. He also could have immediately went home if he agreed to testify against the defendant, but he refused. No snitches here. All right. So I think we've solidified that Mr. Nichols is not a snitch. Now, could he be called to testify? Yes, but that was not a part of his plea deal. All right. So he actually linked the video to where this went down. I believe, is it the Fit Lawyer ATL interviewed his wife, China. So we might actually get into that and look at what she said during the interview. But here's the breakdown of it. The state reached out first for the plea. Okay, obviously, because they're up against the ropes, losing this case badly. The state reached out previously about a plea deal before the mistrial motion. Interesting. Original plea before the mistrial motion and trial started was that Quay would get probation and had to testify. Okay. He would have been able to come home and he rejected it. Ooh. Shout out to Quay. Quay's a real one. All right. We are not going to use the term snitch when referring to Quay. He's already cleared the snitch allegations, so he's good there. The first offer was after mistrial motion. There was 30 to do 20. Okay, so he's going to do reduce the murder to voluntary manslaughter. And China thinks everything else was on there relating to the gang charges, and he rejected that. Then they gave him another offer, 25 to do 15. Sheesh. Still was voluntary manslaughter plus all other charges. Rejected that. Then 20 to do 10. Took the murder off. Rejected. What else? Then we had 50 to do 5 with testifying. She said that was an offer. That was an offer at one point after the mistrial motion. Quay did not want to testify. Man. Yesterday was when Quay started to give the state counter pleas. Yesterday's plea was 30 to do 7. A long probation. That is a lot of probation. Quay was supposed to take the plea yesterday at 3 p.m. Yesterday being Monday. That would have been Monday. But the long probation was an issue. Quay received the plea he accepted yesterday morning. On Tuesday morning, Quay didn't really want to take the plea. China, his wife, begged him to take it so he could go home and brought up the kids. All right, so that's a little bit of the background. We'll probably pull up this interview that the Fit Lawyer ATL did with China, because that's super dope. And I think, hey, shout out to Quay. He's a real one for that. He stayed in there, even with the couple of kids that Mr. Harvey mentioned in the hearing yesterday. Even with his wife being there, he said, nah, I did what I had to do. I'm here for a reason. I'm not going to turn against these guys. And he refused to testify or have that be a part of his deal. So big shout out to Quay. I mean, this was going to be as good of a deal as he got. And can y'all believe initially what the offer was? And this was after a mistrial motion, 30 to do 20. And they got that 20 down to 7, as we know. So, hey, I think it was a great deal. I think he did what he had to do to get to this point. He hung in there and he didn't throw the other guys under the bus too. Which there was one other thing I wanted to go over with y'all. And let me see if I can find it. Here we go. So this is Quamarvius Nichols' final disposition. And shout out to, I think I got this from either Thugger Daily or Cat Not Williams, but Cat Not Williams posted it as well. And I'm going to read this for y'all real quick, and then I will get to the super chats in here shortly. All right. In the Superior Court of Fulton County, the state of Georgia, Quamarvius Nichols versus the state of Georgia. Here we go. And we know the date. It was yesterday. The court enters the following judgment. Check this out. The charges. Oh my gosh. 1, conspiracy to violate the RICO Act. We know that one. Murder. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that in a second, but let me read the rest of these charges. Unlawful for persons, employ, associates with criminal street gang to conduct, participate in criminal activity. Unlawful to commit offense with intent to obtain, earn, maintain membership / increase the status position in the state of Georgia. Possession of a firearm by a convicted felon previously convicted of a felony involving the use or possession of a firearm, which I guess this got cut off. Possession of a firearm or knife during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies. All right. So the interesting thing about this is we look at his disposition. He only pled guilty, as we heard, to the RICO Act, or to violating the RICO Act. The interesting thing about this one is he did not plead guilty to murder. I'm not going to say any names, but it's been, there's a feeling throughout, I'll just say the YouTube community, because no one takes us seriously for some reason, like we couldn't possibly be on the jury. So let's just say the YouTube community. There has been a thought that it's possible the state gave somebody who was involved in one of these murders immunity. And even with this plea deal, you see that the state is just willing to let murder go, it looks like. Not that I think or I'm saying that Mr. Nichols is guilty of this, but the one major charge on here being murder, you would think that that is something they would not just want to let go and be like, yeah, it's fine, you know. We won't worry about the murder. We really got to get this RICO charge, though. That's the issue there. I'm still surprised that this was included in the plea, even though the state is up against the ropes, even though it was clear that they were going to be on the losing side of this, especially if there was a mistrial. Allowing him to not have to plead guilty to murder is absolutely crazy. I mean, where are their priorities right now? It's clear to see that they just want to get this RICO and they're going after Young Thug. And then his sentence, as we see, 20 years to serve 7 years. All right. The 13 years are going to be on probation. OK, there's no fine. And then we go down. Oh, we missed a count here, too. Count 65, the use of firearms by a convicted felon during the commission of a crime. OK, nothing there. The defendant is adjusted guilty or sentenced under the first offender / conditions conditional discharge for the above stated offenses. The court sentences the defendant to confinement in such institution as the commissioner of the State Department of Corrections may direct, with the period of confinement being computed as provided by law. Sentence summary: the defendant is sentenced for a total of 20 years, with the first 7 years to be served in confinement and remainder to be served on probation, or blank to be served on probation. So he's going to serve the rest on probation. Also, we know that he got time served too, which, okay, here we go. We're going to get into that here. The defendant is to receive credit for time served in custody X from March 17, 2022 to present. So that is going to be 2 years and see, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. 2 years and 7 months. So that's 24 plus 7. That's 31 months. He gets off of that, or as determined by the custodian. See, upon the service of 7 years, the remainder of the sentence may be served on probation, provided the defendant shall comply with the conditions of probation imposed by the court as a part of his sentence. And then we've got the general conditions of his probation. I mean, a lot of y'all have seen these before, but I think it'll be good to read through this. The defendant is subject to arrest if any violation of probation. If probation is revoked, the court may order incarceration. The defendant shall comply with the following general conditions of probation, and these are just general. Do not violate the criminal laws of any governmental unit, and be of general good behavior. Avoid injurious and vicious habits. What would be an injurious habit? I'm gonna have to look that up. I've never heard that term used before. I'm guessing it's meaning drugs or alcohol, maybe. Avoid persons or places of disreputable or harmful character. What? Oh my God. Y'all see how this probation is just I don't want to say it's a scam, but it's a trap. Who determines a person or place of disreputable or harmful character? So if he stops at a gas station on Cleveland Avenue, is he violating his probation? Jesus. And I guess it's up to the probation officer, but I mean, this is the most vague, and I get their general, this is the most vague statement I've ever heard in a legal document. Wow. Report to the community supervision officer as directed, and permit the community supervision officer to visit you at home or elsewhere. Work faithfully at sustainable employment insofar as may be possible. Yeah, because he's a felon, right? Do not change your place of abode, move outside the jurisdiction of the court, or leave Georgia without permission of the community supervision officer. What? If permitted to move or travel to another state, you agree to waive extradition from any jurisdiction where you may be found, and not contest any effort by any jurisdiction to return to this state. He cannot leave Georgia for the next 20 some years. Support your legal dependents to the best quality of your ability. What? When directed, in the discretion of the community supervision officer, submit to evaluations and testing relating to rehabilitation, and participate in the successful completion or success and participate in and successfully complete rehabilitative programming. Well, that's a weird phrase. We'll leave that alone. Wear a device capable of tracking location by means including electronic surveillance or global positioning satellite systems. What? Complete a residential or non-residential program for such substance abuse or mental health treatment, and or agree to the imposition of graduated sanctions as defined by law. 9, make restitution as ordered by the court. What does that mean? Fines, surcharges, and add-ons. The court assesses all fines, surcharges, or add-ons as required by the law of the state of Georgia and as are applicable to offense or offenses for which the defendant has been convicted. So what do you get? He got number 1. The court orders that the defendant shall pay the probation supervision fee as required by law, which, man, I don't want y'all to expose yourself. So I'm going to ask Amy. Amy, do you know what the probation supervision fee is? I'm going to look it up here in a second, but I know Amy probably knows because she's worked in Fulton County. Special conditions of probation. It looks like there's none for him, so we won't go through that. First offender or conditional discharge. The defendant consenting hereto, it is the judgment of the court that no judgment of guilt be imposed at this time, but that further proceedings are deferred. And the defendant is hereby sentenced to confinement at such institution as the Commissioner of the State Department of Corrections or the court may direct, with the period of confinement to be computed as provided by law. Upon violation of the terms of probation, upon conviction for another crime during the period of probation, or upon the court's determination that the defendant is or was eligible for sentencing under the First Offender Act, or for conditional discharge, the court may enter an adjudication. It always takes me a minute with that word. Enter an adjudication of guilt and proceed to sentence the defendant to the maximum sentence as provided by law. Upon fulfillment of the terms of the sentence or upon release of the defendant by the court prior to the termination of the sentence, the defendant shall stand discharged of said offense without court adjudication of guilt and shall be completely exonerated of guilt of said offense charge. For the court's use, we're good there. The Honorable Bruce Stephen Harvey, attorney at law, represented by the defendant. We've got the court reporter there, Miss Taylor, and it was signed by the Honorable Paige Reese Whitaker. Wow. There's a lot to break down here, y'all, because I'm going to be honest. I knew probation was a trap, but my God, probation is a trap. Did y'all hear these general conditions of probation? I mean, what was it? Number 2? What was it? Number 3? Avoid persons or places of disreputable or harmful character. What? How do you do that? So no bars, no strip clubs, no clubs, especially not here in Atlanta. I mean, let's just be real. Can't be on the wrong side of town. Has to stay in the state of Georgia. He has to avoid all felons. I'm going to see what y'all are saying in the chat. And let me know what y'all think in the comments too on the replay. This is insane. I know I missed, where'd Amy go? I know she had some insight in here. Oh, my dog Henry Resilience in the building. What's up, Henry? 13 years is a lot of time to slip up, especially when you're used to that lifestyle. Let's see. Mark H says ClassE Beats, it's a monthly fee, perhaps $50 to $100 per month. Okay, well, that's not absolutely crazy, but still, he's got to find a job. Let me read some of these super chats in here too. Oh my goodness. Shout out to Gerard in the building. He dropped the €2 in the building. Thank you for that, Gerard. I appreciate it. Also, we've got my guy Henry Resilient up in here, dropping the 5 bomb. What does Henry say? Henry said he did what was best for him and his family, and he stood 10 toes down. I mean, when it comes to him, like how we view Mr. Nichols, I think this was a perfect example of how a plea could be done. Now, the probation, that's another thing, but he definitely, I think, Thug is going to respect that he took this type of deal instead of going the other way. and being forced to testify. Also, Amy in here, the awesome, amazing Amy, just gifted 10 memberships. Oh my gosh. If you got a membership from Amy, please make sure that you say thank you in the chat and show her some love. All right, here we go. Here we go. Let me see what y'all are saying up in here. We've got Michi says, ClassE Beats, there are additional probation stipulations they will add as they go along. It's insane. I'm staying on this side of the law forever, man, y'all. I promise. Memo asked a great question. Is it a probation violation if you get a speeding ticket? It seems to me that pretty much everything is, and I quote, in the discretion of the community supervision officer. They have a lot of power, y'all. What does Amy say? Probation supervision fees vary by state and can range from hundreds to thousands of dollars. In Georgia, probation supervision fees are typically between $15 and $50 per month. Depending on the supervision level, city courts may charge higher fees. All right, there's Amy putting us on game as usual. What else she says? Yeah, she said city courts may charge higher fees. This is crazy. Henry Resilient in here says Thug has to respect it. The question is, what will his deal look like? You think he's going to take up?
Stop the cap.
Henry, you think Young Thug is going to get a plea deal? Come on now. Because this is a felony, right? Conspiracy to violate the RICO Act. So Mr. Nichols isn't tripping about a felony. Young Thug, he has a lot to be concerned with the felony. He has a lot to be concerned with probation. You don't think, if you think for a second that Fannie Willis isn't going to have eyes and ears on him everywhere, if he takes probation, Young Thug and the lifestyle he lives, he would have to become a totally different person if he wanted to avoid violating his probation. There is no way in the world. Thug is not getting a deal. Mr. Frieza is in the building, says Thug is the RICO. Exactly. Raymond says tickets do not count. It would depend, right? Because so much of this is, again, and I quote, in the discretion of the community supervision officer. Who's to say? I don't know. Y'all probably know more about that than I do. Amy says this behavior can include, hold on, did I miss what you said before? I sure did. An injurious habit is a behavior that can harm the body, such as a self-injurious behavior, SIB, or other unhealthy habits. The behavior can include head hitting, head banging, or self-biting. It can be a way to get attention, avoid activities, or reduce pain. Behavioral interventions can be effective in treating SIB. All right, shout out to Amy again, putting us on game. Henry Resilient says, gonna change his life. Thug can too. Gunna ain't changing. We need to get into Gunna's plea deal in a second, but yeah, I don't think it's even been a year, Henry. It hasn't even been a year. So you want to say someone's changed their life in a few months? I mean, maybe, but I don't know. He says Thug would have to change his life, which is needed. I agree. He's got to, man, keep that fix that circle. Because these guys he had around him were garbage. Mark H is in the building, says one ticket is going to happen. If you get 3 or 4 in a month, then the officer can get offended. Quay needs a good officer. Pray for a great officer and Quay is fine. See? There you go. Janelle Brown said Gunna ain't ain't changed. He just moved very carefully. He's moving different for sure. But Slow Breeze is saying Gunna is not on restrictions. Yeah, we got to look at Gunna's plea deal at some point. I also want to go back and look at these charges that they that they dropped for Mr. Nichols, because I think that is very interesting as well. I'm going to check and see if court is in session or if we have any updates real quick. And then I'll read some of y'all's comments and we'll go over this initial indictment and see what he was actually charged with and what the state was saying. Miss Hilton kind of went through it during his plea hearing, but I think there's more details that we have to get into. Let me see. Let's see. So Law and Crime just said there's no updates yet. Everyone is waiting for the court. So shout out to Law and Crime. And we'll see if we can hear anything back from them. All right, let me see. Thank you. Amy said, God bless you. Thank you. I appreciate you. I'm trying to hold it in. Shout out to Reverend Michael Garrison's back in here. Says, good morning, ClassE gang. Good to see y'all in here. If y'all could, I'm going to beg for likes until we're at least at 50%. Can y'all like the video, please? Likes are free. That's all I ask. That is all I ask. Northside is up in here with the super caps. Oh my gosh, he's got everything in all caps. Says all his family and friends are felons. That meant he can't be around his family or friends, period. Or he can go back to jail. Any police contact, he can go back to jail if he breathes the wrong way. My mic volume dropped. Should be good. I might not be talking into the mic very well. Yeah, and you even heard Bruce Harvey when he started to get upset yesterday. He mentioned that Mr. Nichols' mother died in prison. So sad, man. I mean, you know, they've got, I don't even know what that would look like. I was going to go back to the original indictment, but we got to break down some of this stuff from these general conditions of probation, because this is bothering me. I don't know about y'all, and you don't have to say in the chat if you've ever been on probation, but I would love to hear y'all's insight on these probation conditions. It seems like these apply to anyone and everyone who's on probation, and then they'll come back with the specifics at a later date. But sheesh, man, this is absolutely insane. Tunnel Vision Global is in here, says, so what is the court doing right now? All the media are in the courtroom, but they're currently waiting on Judge Whitaker or waiting to find out a decision on what they're going to do today. Let's see. Dennis Byron, y'all know Dennis, he took an L yesterday. He got kicked out of the courtroom. That's tough, man. So probably not going to hear anything from him. Also, I wanted to bring up this tweet from Doug Weinstein as well. He said, we are a lesser team in the YSL case without the contributions from Bruce Harvey, Nicole Westmoreland, and Lamar Gardner. Their skills, contributions, advice, and daily friendship will be missed. In that sense only, the plea from Mr. Nichols yesterday was a win for the state. Oh my gosh. Interesting. All right. Shout out to Doug Weinstein for giving me a poll idea. I gotta ask y'all, was Mr. Nichols... Dang, this is tough. Was his plea deal a win for the state? Boom. Y'all let me know what you think. Doug Weinstein says, in that sense only, the plea from Mr. Nichols yesterday was a win for the state. In totality, Nichols' legal team was able to negotiate a fantastic deal for him that he clearly believed was in his interest, and all can walk away with heads held high. I'm going to give my thoughts in a second. But even Darth Vader said, "Hey, Doug, could you elaborate on as to how this plea was a win for the state?" I highly doubt that Doug Weinstein will do that. Maybe he'll do an interview at some point. Mr. Weinstein, I don't know if you're waiting for court and you ever want to call in. The link to call in is in the pinned comment. Just let me know or stop by in the chat, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on that too. But Henry Resilient says conviction equals a win for the state, plain and simple. I hear you, Henry. He pled guilty. He pled guilty to a RICO violation, a felony. Mark H is in here, said, I did 10 years on a felony deferred adjudication in Texas. The principal issue is your officer. Yes. If Quay gets a bad officer, we are in trouble. If he can get away from a bad officer, he's good to go. Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking, Mark. Even reading through all this, it seems like his community supervision officer has so much power. More power than the judge. Honestly, I mean, your probation officer could send you right back to jail. Dang. Mr. Frieza says yes, because he signed off on the RICO. Makes sense. Raymond says, only time you can't be around felons is if they're your friend's family does not count. Okay. If they're your friends, period. Family does not count. Most POs do not look at your family as an issue. Only time is when basically they just got put on probation. Henry Resilient said it bolsters Fanny's conviction rate. That's true. That is true. Fanny officially has a RICO guilty plea under her belt. Great point. Natasha's in here, says, I missed something. Who and why were they kicked out? Yeah. You know what? I can go back and play it while we're waiting if y'all want to see. Y'all want to see how this went down yesterday. Infamous Sylvia and Mr. Where is he at? Where's Mr. Byron at? He's in here somewhere. Mr. Dennis Byron, they got kicked out of court yesterday because they got caught allegedly doing something they weren't supposed to be doing. And here's the moment when it went down. Let me rewind back here.
All right, I find there to be a factual basis for the guilty plea to the RICO count one of the indictment, that being Byron. If you all could both please come up to the podium.
Let me rewind it for y'all a little bit. There we go. There's supposed to be a court today.
Court come to order.
Good afternoon. Everybody can be seated. All right, first things first. Miss Sylvia and Mr. Byron, if you all could both please come up to the podium.
Uh-oh.
Yes, please. Thank you.
So that's Dennis Byron, and then y'all know, many of y'all know infamous Sylvia. She's gonna be up there in a second. There's infamous
All right,
Sylvia.
so for both of you, I am sorry to have to say this, but I am going to be entering in order modifying each of your Rule 22s. It has come to my attention, and I have confirmed that each of you has been recording in the courtroom while I have not been on the bench, and that is a clear violation of Rule 22. And so you may record today's proceedings, but after today, if you want to record, you're going to have to do it from the media room. You may be in here in the courtroom as a spectator without any recording equipment, or you may be in the media room to record, but no more with your equipment in the courtroom, because y'all have both recorded things that you're not supposed to be recording based on Rule 22. So I'll enter those orders today. Thank you. All right.
So they got in a little bit of trouble. So that's what happened yesterday. Now, Mr. Dennis Byron gave us an update. He said, just spoke with the courtroom official who gave me permission to take the viral photo. And they stated that they told the judge's staff attorney, Mrs. Persifield, they had in fact said it was okay for Mr. Byron to take the picture and didn't know anything about him recording the video while the judge was off the bench. So he took a picture allegedly that he wasn't supposed to take, and then he recorded a video in the courtroom while Judge Whitaker wasn't at the bench. I'm trying to see if he has any other updates. He said this 12 hours ago. He said Judge Whitaker is saying anything now, stating I had prior Rule 122 or Rule 22 offenses is slander, and I'm shocked and appalled that a sitting Superior Court judge would say such a thing. Produce the video where I recorded anything when the judge wasn't on the bench. I think it's interesting that he's not saying that he didn't do it. He's just saying, do you have proof? All right.
Right. And so what we have ultimately is that there is no evidence, none.
And then we have this video from Mr. Byron where he went on with the lead attorney. Shout out to the lead attorney. And he kind of told a little bit of his story. Let's see what he's talking about here. Let me unmute this.
My tripod, I didn't even take my camera out the bag, and an official asked me to take the picture of Young Thug. They pulled the shirt out the bag and asked me to get it on TMZ. An official that works in that courtroom. So I'm like, are you sure? She said, yeah, take the picture now. And that's why the picture's not even in full focus, because that's not my best work at all. So they asked me to take the picture. He didn't have the shirt on. He had his regular clothes on. He put the shirt on. Now, I want people to remember how this trial's been going. Thug has never stood up the way he's standing up for a photo. They set the photo up for me to take the picture.
Wow.
My tripod.
All right, so there he goes. He's saying that he was set up, y'all. What do you think about? What do you think about that? And then he's got some comments from yesterday. So I don't know. I'm not getting into it. Me, it's just you had clear rules. If you got close to the line or broke them, and I think from what I've seen from Sylvia, that's probably the case. She likes playing close to the close to the line. It is what it is at this point. So hopefully they can do the best with what they've got so far. Mark H in here says, ClassE Beats, I will admit I faced the judge 3 times on revocation motions by the state. It is scary. The mere fact the officer, if the officer doesn't like you, that's not enough. The prosecution still has to convince. Where'd the rest of your comment go, Mark? Something. What do y'all think, though? I asked in the chat, was Mr. Nichols' plea deal a win for the state? It looks like so far 63% of y'all are saying no. What? I'm surprised. Now, Henry Resilient made a great point, and he said that they got a guilty plea to the RICO charge. That's a win, point blank, period. And I would have to agree there. But y'all are saying maybe in the long term that it's not a win for the state. So I would love to hear some of your thoughts on that. And actually, let me go ahead and do this because we're not live yet. Let me go ahead and open up the phone lines. If y'all want to call in, the link to call into the show is in the pinned comment in the chat and also in the description. I'm going to leave this up and I'm going to read a couple more of y'all's comments and then let's see. we'll go back and look at the indictments that were, or the counts that were actually dropped against Mr. Nichols. And we already had some calls this morning too. Let me see. If y'all want to call in, the call lines are open. Let's see. Landis Mobile says, ClassE, it can be done to turn your life around. I've had clients like leave Angola, a Louisiana prison, and become awesome mentors for the youth. Have to have the backbone to cut out the bad folks. And that's just in life in general, you know? If you think about it, oh man, I don't want to go too deep, but maybe some of us just need probation on our regular life just to get and remove some of the bad folks in our lives. But it's going a little too deep. All right, here we go.
Call from Chad's Fencing. To accept.
All right, good morning, 352. Who am I speaking with?
Chad.
All right, Chad from Chad's Fencing. All right. How are you doing this morning, Chad?
I'm doing all right, man. I think a lot of people are underestimating the probation. People don't realize how hard it is to do probation. I feel like, that many years on probation, I think the state, this is what they do. They always give people these plea deals with large amounts of probation because they know the odds of that person getting a violation of probation eventually and coming right back to prison. So
yeah,
I just don't think it's in the benefit for him to have taken that plea deal. I think that the defense has been doing a great job. I think that they have a really good chance of winning this. And I just don't think that was a good plea deal. And it makes the defense look bad. What are the jurors going to think? When they see that somebody, are they, a question I would like to get answered is, are they going to know that somebody pled out, or are they just going to think that somebody just disappeared?
That's true. That's a great point. I think they would, hold on a second. That would be addressed at some point, especially if Mr. Nichols comes back to testify. Obviously, they would have to bring up the plea deal. So the jury is going to know, and they're going to see this if they decide to bring him back. I don't see it being mentioned at any other point. Maybe one of the attorneys in the chat could let me know. Kel Bell is in here as well. But yeah, I don't see the need for the state to bring that up unless they call Mr. Nichols to testify, which would be interesting in itself.
Yeah, for sure. I just, I just don't see I understand he was facing some serious charges, and to him, he'll be out, relatively soon, eligible for parole after 40 months. I was watching another YouTube channel, and they did the math on about how long he will be incarcerated before he's eligible to be released. And it wasn't that long. So, I get that everybody wants to go home, but let's look at, his background. Let's look at where he lives, who he associates himself with. And then let's think about, is he going to be able to successfully complete how many years? I think it was like 15 or 13 years of probation.
It's a lot.
That the odds of that is
13
slim
years is
to
crazy.
none. You're going to get some type of violation at some point for something petty or something serious, depending on how good he is. And it's going to send him right back in front of a judge, and he'll be right back in prison. It's just, I think that they all should have stuck together, obviously, and just rode this out until the very end, because I think that they're doing a good job. And I believe as the trial goes on, the defense is doing better and better because the state is doing worse and worse.
Yeah, and I think my question for you would be, Chad, and I'll final question, and I'll let you give your last thoughts, is what do you want to take a chance on? Do you want to take the chance on the jury giving you a not guilty verdict, or do you want to take a chance on yourself being able to stay out of trouble? And that's really, I think, what Mr. Nichols was looking at. I don't know. In your case, you might think, man, it might be better for me to take my chances on the jury. But if you could say, no, I got this, that's going to be tough to put that in somebody else's hands.
So I would say this. I've been there, done it. I think it's impossible. I don't think that any person, no matter how good you are, can successfully complete 13 years of probation. The only reason I say that is because I've been through the system as a juvenile, and what would be considered a straight A student on probation. Like, I did everything right. Mm-hmm. Every time I would report in, every time they would, bring me in for whether it be a drug testing or monthly reporting or whatever the case. Oh, you're doing amazing. You're doing amazing. My probation officer, would always say, I wish I had everybody who was like you. You're doing everything right. And then you get caught up in just a simple little traffic violation or a citation, or you miss an appointment simply because it's been 4.5 years. You completely, spaced out that every month you have to be there at 2 p.m., something little. And then they put me on a technical violation. And then I go in front of a judge, and because we have a system that is set up to not really help anybody, the judge had no care in the world. The state basically was like, he had a technical violation, and they put me back in jail. I had to wait. I couldn't bond out because it was a violation of probation in the state of Florida.
Oh my gosh.
I sat there, and I ended up doing like 4.5 months in jail on something that was so petty that I was being made fun of by other people in the jail. They were like, what are you in here? What are you in here for? And I'm like, I sold a used car without a dealer's license on Facebook Marketplace. And everybody thought I was lying. They thought, there's no way. And I'm like, yeah, you sell a car, technically you're supposed to have a dealer's license. And I was arrested for it, and I was put on probation. I took the plea deal of probation, and it was my worst mistake. I should have never done that. I should have taken it to trial. But long story short, if you don't have the money for good lawyers, it's hard to say because I do understand where you're coming from. And in his eyes, he's putting all the chips on himself. He's gambling. Hey, I'm going to get out. I'm going to do the right thing. And I hope and pray that he does. I'm not trying to say that, hey, it's a guarantee. I just think that it's not probable. It's hard to do that much time on probation. You really have to change your entire way of life.
Yeah, you just got to stay in the house, it seems like, Chad.
Exactly.
That's the only way to win. All right, brother. I appreciate you calling in, man. Thank you for the insight as well. You can call in anytime, man.
I appreciate it, man. And I'm going to be watching you all day as long as you're live.
All right. Thank you so much, Chad. Blessings to you. Take care.
All righty. You too. Bye.
Woo. Yeah. Chad just gave you a real life story of how probation is just an entire trap. And we saw it here in this disposition. Everything is up to the community supervision officer, or you're screwed. He said he sold a car without a license. Like, come on, man. It's sad. Okay, we've got 702 in here, and then 908. I know you were calling. I'll give you a call back.
Call from
Mark H10.
Oh yeah, we got Mark in here. Mark, good morning, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you? I just turned it off.
Oh, good. I appreciate you calling in. Go ahead. I'm going to let you have the floor. What are your thoughts?
Okay, so is the show still on then?
Yes, sir.
Okay, here's what happened for myself. I got hit from behind by a cop and I got railroaded into something, and I didn't have an attorney who wanted me to win my case. He wanted this case so he can use the gave you to the prosecution when he's negotiating later. So I got 10 years probation. He really sold me hard on it. Mm-hmm. I absconded 2 in a row for a year because I had a horrific officer. And my judge, who was literally called by his own bailiffs the 330 worst in Austin, Texas, the 331st District Court, Judge Perkins, the 330 worst, he did not put me in prison. So it's very much up to who you face.
Wow.
The prosecution's going to take the part of the agent, but I had some great officers. Unfortunately, I had one that was so lax, she got fired and had told me that we had an open, come see her whenever. And she never said anything distinct about my next appointment. Well, I got assigned the asshole while she was. And the next thing I know, I'm the big bad person because I didn't show up on the 14th at 2:00 when I didn't even have any idea that was an appointment.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this, Mark. When it came to, and you don't have to get into the specifics of your case, but when it came to your lawyer, you had a public offender or public offender. Yeah. Jeez, they probably should call him something that public defender, or you had someone who you. No,
I did not. I had a pro.
So what was the conversation like when they were talking about the probation? Because I don't think we get to hear that as much, especially going back and looking at Monktook and Derek Wright's situation. Like, I want to hear that side from you. And what did that look like?
Okay. Now, now from what I've said a few times, I have a little understanding and I've studied a little bit. Mm-hmm. I was a total neophyte. I got hit from behind by a cop. I thought the system was fair. I thought, black men were inordinately dangerous, and other minorities, and the bad white people were using drugs and killing people and rapists, and that's why everybody was, because they were. I didn't realize that this thing will run you the F over, but it will. Mm-hmm. They will just destroy a person. They don't care in a minute.
So it was more. Go ahead. I'll let you finish.
I was going to say my professional, like I said, dealt me off as a conviction so he could use later, and he was one of these big guys here. He was certified for federal as well as criminal defense as well as state.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But it really is. It's a tough slog, but if you do get a break, and that's why I say we've got to pray for this man, for Quay, and for the rest of them, because if any of them also take a plea or have convictions, they're going to have a hard time.
Yeah, that probation, man.
I really don't want to. Yeah, I saw that interview with him. That journalist is true. He does not pull that crap. That guy, he's been here to Vegas. He's a pro. He travels the nation. He's not just I think he's based in Atlanta, but he's not just an Atlanta journalist.
Yeah, he's been doing it for a long time too. It seems like someone was trying to get him caught up.
No. I think that they thought it wouldn't be a deal. The officers, that they could take this picture, because what it was Mariah, the scientist's birthday. That's why that's why they set it up. She had she had the hoodie, sent it in. They allowed it in. That was their violation again, right? Security.
Yeah.
Because just think, she's soaked something in the pocket. He could take a nice, tug on something. You know what I mean? Acid or anything.
Yeah, that's true.
They violated security.
Mm-hmm.
They said, take the picture now, put it on him. He took the picture real quick. And as he says constantly, he thought that if they said it's good, and that it's not going to come up. But then the judge got some backlash because it went to TMZ and it went viral. Did you guys know that?
Yeah, that's what Mr. Byron was saying in the clip. He's like, yeah, get this and send it to TMZ. So I wonder if he got it and got him a little bit of cash on the side too. But
yeah, he did. He said that in the interview. He licensed it out to not just TMZ, but everybody.
Yeah. All right. I mean, nothing wrong with that, but I think he
didn't make any video though. He's not a video guy.
I'm sure we're going to hear more information about that, because it seems like he's not done fighting for this. So maybe he'll get back into the court and still be able to do what he wants to do. But yeah, I don't know. It kind of stinks for him, because it seems like he carried himself pretty professionally. I'll agree with you there. But yeah,
and we're in a tough spot now, because now she's restricted it down to one person has one camera.
Yeah, it's Law and Crime, and I think 11 Alive, and maybe Fox 5. So I think there might be.
I'm hoping it's more than one, but he said it would have been restricted down to one. So I don't know. I want to keep that one alive. If we're down to 2 or 3, we're okay. But no.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe there's
Want to
still.
keep watching.
I think 11 Alive and actually also Atlanta News First might be in there too. So there's a few of them, but we're not going any man. If I need to get down there and get a Rule 22, I'll do it just to keep this going. But thanks for calling in, Mark. I appreciate your insight, brother.
Sure.
All right, you can call in anytime.
All right, man. Thank you so
Peace.
much.
All right, so I'm going to call a couple of y'all back. I want to get some of these super chats and see what y'all are saying in the comments too. Shout out to Deanna is in the building. She says, I agree. Sending everyone love. Appreciate you for the 2 bomb. Also, we've got Richard Morales with the 10 bomb says, could they be giving out plea deals to decrease the confusion the state has created for the jury and focus more on bigger names in this case? Free the artist. That is a great question. I think there's more so, especially with the Quays. I mean, they really had a big incentive, a big incentive for a mistrial in this situation. Now, whether all the defendants would go for it or not, I don't know. But with the free Quay hashtag being read, I mean, they were really up against the ropes when it came to this defendant. So I think they just wanted to get something out of this, as Henry Resilient said, and it seems like a lot of y'all disagree with. That may have been a win for the state because he pled guilty to the RICO Act. So she's already got a guilty plea there. So we'll see what happens moving forward. Amy's reminding y'all to like the video. Thank you to everybody who liked the video. Thank you to everybody who's sending in super chats too. We're at 50% likes, over 1,000 likes so far. Thank y'all so much. And I don't see anything from court yet, so let me get a couple more phone calls in here. Sean P says, I can't believe we ain't got court and she don't want to rule because Fanny's playing plea deals still. We'll see what happens. Do y'all think Thug would take a plea deal? Data Funk says, I did 6 years inside and 7 on parole. The time on parole was the hardest time I've done. Harder than the 6 years in? What? Sheesh. I would have sat another 2 years if it killed the parole. Wow. It's hard enough being a felon in the community. That is an amazing statement. I'd be interested to know what city or state you were in, Data Funk. Let's get 240 in here.
Call from
Tory.
Is it
to
Corey or
accept.
Tori?
Press.
What's up, 240? Is it Corey or Tori?
That's Tory. Toray. Yes, sir.
All right. Good morning, Tori. How are you?
I'm doing great. Just checking out the show. I love the content, and I just want to reply to some of the things.
Okay, go ahead. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Okay. Well, for one reason, I was born and raised in Atlanta, and I also was caught up in the Fulton County court system as well, as far as where the DA just at the end of the day wanted to make sure that their job was completed. They don't care anything about anybody's livelihood or kids or whatever they have in their future. The DA is just there to win a case and just going about a lot of hearsay at the end of the day and not having factual evidence, and where people could still get railroaded, just by I forgot what my lawyer had called it, insignificant. He had a whole story at my trial. I did 2 jury trials of actually murder on something I didn't do, and somebody just came in and say, hey, I seen this guy there, and they came up with a case after that. So, just wanted to reply to a lot of things because I know exactly what Thug is going through. A lot of his rights and stuff is being violated, as well as the other guys. You know what I mean? So that's what I wanted to chime in on.
All right. Well, I appreciate you calling in, Mr. Tory, and thank you for sharing that insight as well. The system is definitely tough. There's a lot of work we got to do on our side too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is. Yes, sir. It is. So there's a lot of things that I try to implement. So I don't stay in Atlanta anymore. I'm up in D.C. So a lot of these things that
Yeah, so a lot of these things that I've been through in the court system, and a lot of things that I have been through in DC, I try to get out here and make sure that my motivational speaking is very motivated. You know what I mean? Especially to the young guys. So I try to put it in the work. You know, I'm just one person alone. You know, doing the best I can on, you know, as far as just shedding a light on the younger crowds, and to know that any one of us could be in these positions as Young Thug in any day, you know, regardless if you did or not, you know. So yes, I try to put it in my due diligent work as far as me being a young guy and you know, making it best for everybody.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So you be blessed, Mr. Torrey. You can call at any time, man. And I'm glad you're back on this side with us. For sure.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, sir. Thank you. You have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, let me see if I can get where is it? Where is 908 in here? 908's tried to call in a few times and I missed them. Hey, good morning. This is ClassE Beats from the Music Morning Show. Who am I speaking with?
Hi, this is Tracy from New Jersey.
Hey, Tracy from New Jersey. Thank you for calling in. What's on your mind this morning, Tracy?
I was just calling in about the poll. The question was it a win for the prosecution, right?
Yes.
I think that because they have a guilty verdict at the end of the day, and that's all that they were looking for. Although it's not the counts that they want, it's still a guilty verdict. And like the guy said before, it's 13 years on probation. The chance is slim to none to complete it without no infractions. And then once you get that one infraction, being the situation, who knows how they would handle that sentencing at that point, because at that point they could do what they want. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I feel like they give them the probation with the hopes of slipping up, and as soon as that one slip up, no matter how big or small, they're going to max them out for the most part. Yeah, that's what I think about it.
Okay, well, I appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much. And you can call in anytime as well. I appreciate you.
All right, I am a subscriber, and I wish you the best of luck, and I love your channel.
Thank you. Be safe out there in New Jersey.
Yes, sir. You too. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, let me see. So Howdy Girls in here says, ClassE, now that Nichols pled out, can the state still mention him in evidence? Well, let's look at this again. And I'm going to pronounce this right, but I'm going to mispronounce this. Let me see. Give me 1 second. I'm going to try and look this up so I can give you a better answer. So I'll have to get one of the attorneys to answer this better. But he pled guilty to the RICO Act. And we know the state can still mention him in evidence and call him as a witness, right? So that's the simple answer. But all of these he pled null pros to. And what does that mean? It means we'll no longer prosecute, obviously. It's a legal decision by a prosecutor to drop the charges against the defendant, either on some or all accounts. This can happen at any point before or during the trial, obviously. The reason they entered this can include insufficient evidence, issues with the witness availability. Obviously, we know possibility of a mistrial, procedural problems, or considerations of justice where the prosecutor feels it's no longer appropriate to pursue this case. Once the null pros is entered, the case or charge is dismissed, though it can sometimes be refiled if circumstances change. Interesting. And I want to go back through these again too. I know Somebody in the chat was saying TLA and AV said that court is going to be back at noon. I'm going to double check and see what they're saying over on Law and Crime to see if there's any update. They haven't, Law and Crime hasn't updated yet, and I don't see them saying when court is going to start. And I might have to go and check with TLA and AV real quick too. Let's see. They said no updates. This was 5 minutes ago. No updates so far. Still waiting on court. Thank you for your patience, as court schedules are more often flexible. Okay, so we're still waiting on that. Amy said she called. When did you call, Amy? Where are you? Oh, there she is. Amy called like 10 minutes ago and I missed it. I'm gonna call her back. Let me see. Let me call Amy back and see what she talking about.
Hello.
There
Good
she
morning.
is. The awesome, amazing Amy is on the phone. We got to make this a regular thing, you know. I'm trying to tell you, the people want to hear you, Amy. Good morning, though. Good morning,
Well, I
y'all.
was just going back to what she was saying. I think it was Tracy that called in and said that she think it was a win for the state based on the poll that you did. And
Yeah.
I honestly think that in a way it does give the state a little leverage because, as we know, there was absolutely really no evidence of the RICO. So I think that them just getting him to basically plead guilty for a RICO charge is a win. And obviously, you know, to me, it's a kind of a win for Fannie. But on the other hand, if you really break it down, he did not get a bad deal, though. If you really, considering he had a murder charge hanging over his head, he truly, you know, I think that in the end, it really works in his favor because think about it. If he gets out early because of good behavior and time served, he might be out in 2025, to be honest. And,
Wow.
and this is pretty much, this is what China was saying in her interview as well, is that there's a possibility he could get out in 2025. And I think that people are forgetting that he was able to get, you know, he had a body head basically hanging over him, and they took that, removed that, and he just basically gonna walk away, you know, and pay. I mean, even though he has to, you know, face probation, and he's gonna have to be really careful with that when he gets out, still the results in the end, had he been found guilty, would have been far worse. So honestly, he walked away without switching. So I mean, he didn't have to snitch, and there was no, I don't know. I kind of feel torn about this, but I feel like at the same time, he didn't take any special, meaning like he's not going to be, he doesn't have to testify. Like they offered him to walk away free, and he chose not to because he didn't want to snitch, or or maybe there really was nothing there that he knew, and he didn't want to make anything complicated. So I feel like at the same time, you know, I think he really acted in the best interest of himself, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with you there. He definitely, I can't see him getting a better deal than this. I mean, them dropping a murder charge, that to me right there says they only had one goal, and it wasn't to convict Mr. Nichols. It's to get this RICO, period. Like, end of story.
Yeah, the fact that, and the fact that they dropped an entire murder charge, I don't know if you guys understand how in the criminal, like, I don't understand people realize how big that is. Like, to drop a murder charge, you know, is a huge deal. Like, they didn't even get him to, you know, agree to something even way less. It's just they removed it completely. And to me, them dropping the murder charge proves the point that they had no case. And that's where I think that the state is doing them an injustice, because they're basically proving what everyone has been saying this whole time, that they don't have enough, they don't have a case, they don't have enough, really. They just want to put enough suspicion in people's mind and their theory that there is this and there's that. But I have not seen really any proof yet. And I feel, and I might get some lashing out for this, but I truly believe that they gave the person that either committed the murder or knows who did complete immunity. So for me, it's like I feel like the state knows, the state. Yeah, so I don't want to go down that trail, but I just think that in a way it's kind of probably maybe they leveled the field. I don't think it was a complete win for the state, but I also don't think it was a loss for them. I think that at least they got a RICO, and like the other caller said, at least Fanny got a RICO charge. And at the end of the day, they just wanted someone to send down and get a Department of Correction number under a RICO charge, and it kind of cleans up their sloppiness in a way, because they finally got someone to admit guilt for something, even if it was a lesser charge.
Yeah, and you were mentioning something to me earlier about the probation. Now, he's got a balance of 13 years he's going to have to serve on probation. But you said there's something in Georgia law where he might not even have to do all 13 of those years. Is that right?
That's correct. So in Georgia, Georgia has something that's a 3-year successful probation early termination clause, and with no mess ups, meaning that if he has no mess ups in the last 24 months, so this is also applying to the time that he's already been serving. If he has no mess ups, they can go back to that and backdate it. But basically, if there's no mess ups, he can actually get out early, and the remaining of his probation be terminated in 3 years. If he does all the things, jump through all the hoops that they want, and if he gets out, he's doing everything, and then he wants to pay off the rest of his restitution up front, he can absolutely end his probation earlier. And you have to be eligible for it, obviously, but again, that's based on all the things that he's going to do and the recommendation of, the officer his probation officer that he works with, etc. But if he doesn't mess up and, stuff, then he has a good chance. But like you said earlier, he put it all himself. Like he's banking that he's going to get out and he's going to cross his T's and dot his I's, and he's going to do everything he's supposed to do. But the only sad part of that is I've seen way too many cases where people get on probation and, something happens. And I know this sounds silly, but this has literally happened before in a case where somebody was doing everything they were supposed to do, and the guy had a habit of eating poppy muffins for breakfast. And when he did a drug test, he got in trouble because it looked like he had some substance in his system. So I'm just saying, like, something silly as that. And of course they had to, deal with that. But it's like, I just think that he's going to have a hard time, in some areas not being around certain people, or, just because, there's going to be people that have, charges and, convictions, and I'm sure people in his family, and there's just going to be a lot of things that he's not going to be able to do. And the fact that he can't leave Georgia, that's crazy. For as long as he's on probation. But again, once he gets off of it, then that'll be different. And like I said, he might be eligible for that, and with good behavior, and I wish him all the best. But honestly, I don't really think it's a loss for him. I hate that he had to plead guilty to anything, especially if there was not, a true RICO thing going on. And I hate that empowered a little bit of the state. But I think the state has done such a sloppy job, and, with this whole case, that I think people can see through it. And I hope that, for Doug's sake, I hope if he gets a deal, and I hope he doesn't take one, to be honest, because I would love nothing more than him to just be found not guilty on everything and walk out of there. But if he feels like for whatever reason he has to take it, I hope that he does not, admit to something that he truly was not involved in. And from my analysis of the situation, I truly believe that, Doug probably was just more in the wrong place at the wrong time, and just because he was so generous with helping his friends, and just because I'm not going to say they're looking at it as him, funding all this stuff, but I think it was just the person he was, just, supporting his friends and providing money and stuff like that. I don't think he was the one that was, knowingly trying to do it so they could do some dirty work with it. And I just think the state has kind of just went on a far reach with that because, again, they have not been able to prove any evidence of that, so.
I agree. Yeah, you nailed it. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think too, like Fanny, the other caller was talking about with Fanny, it makes me wonder like how this will pan out for her, because imagine that this guy takes a plea and then she'll have her case coming up in the future about her fraudulent stuff. And I wonder what kind of appeals and things can happen if she's found guilty on the things that she was involved in.
That would be wild. Can you imagine the DA being, chastised or held accountable while she's trying this, the longest, biggest case in Georgia history. And she's already speaking out of both sides of her mouth. We saw she's talking about Courtney Kramer was inexperienced. And then she hired her boyfriend, Nathan Wade, who had no experience at all, to be the special prosecutor. So yeah, Fanny, she's definitely going to come under fire there too. So it'll be interesting to see how that not only impacts the election, but this YSL trial too. That's a great point.
Yeah, I was curious if you thought, like, in even the chat, like, do you guys think that, the DA's office or Fanny, you think that they were pushing because of that mess up with them saying, Freeway and all the other things that they were saying? Like, do you guys think that some of this is being done, because the election is right around their corner? Or do you guys truly just believe that they realized that they were losing so bad that this was just a move that they wanted to make? I'm curious because I think that I definitely think that this is probably a little bit of both, that, she wanted to try to get a one up before re-election, to be honest.
Yeah. And I think anything she does at this point that she can even somewhat shine a light on, or shine a favorable light on, is going to help her. But let's be real. And I know we've talked about this too. Fanny's not going anywhere. Courtney Kramer, I voted for her, and I hope she gets in there just because I think we need some change. And there's just been so much blatant corruption that I don't want Fanny in there. But yeah, Fanny, it's going to be tough for Courtney to beat her at the end. But I think anything that Fanny does, if she could say, I got a RICO charge and we're still working on gang activity, just like I said, is going to benefit her.
Yeah. It is quite a mess, but I think that the state, I think the state just has done a terrible job. That I think, any type of small win in this aspect for the guilty is probably feeding Fanny's ego, but it'll be curious how it all pans out. But I do believe, though, that considering everything, I definitely going to say that I believe that he did get a good deal at the end of the day, even though I hate that he had to plead guilty at all. So
yeah,
that was pretty much
all right.
My thoughts on it.
There it is, man. That is y'all's Amy analysis. We're going to make it a regular segment. I want everybody to pressure Amy in the show. You're already getting some comments. Shout out to Landis Mobile says, Amy, love having you on. Your observations and knowledge are spot on. I'm trying to tell y'all. And then Jerome said, Amy 100. A lot of people are agreeing. But thank you as always for calling in. Love and appreciate everything that you do and appreciate you being here.
Right back at you.
All right. Take care.
All
There's
right, bye, guys.
The awesome, amazing Amy in the building. We're going to get her back. We're going to make it a regular segment if it's the last thing I do. Oh, man. Yeah, y'all tell her, come on and call up here on a regular basis. All right, so let me see. Johnny said, you should call it Amy, tell me. What is Mr. Frieza saying? Fanny got a win, but get forced out next year. Man. I don't know. It's going to be hard to tell. I just think the demographics of Fulton County, even the ones who are watching and aware of everything that's going on in this trial, they're not going to tie it directly to Fannie. All they're thinking about is she's a Democratic, Black female who's done some good things when it comes to programs in the community, and she's making a push. I mean, she's fighting Donald Trump. You know how many people would get behind her just because of that? Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one. Rice Street said, almost had the cell tower data. Call Amy back. Rice Street has been working on this indictment for like the past, I don't know how long. Rice Street, you are not going to get us. You're fighting a losing battle. I'm sorry. We got Amy in the bunker. All right. So no, we protect Amy at all costs. You're not going to find her. Shout out to Shelby is in here. Says, OMG, I'm late. Almost missed you. Thank you for stopping by. We've got Roland X Loud is in the building. Says they're going to hit the jury with everyone copying to a RICO. So there has to be ahead of it. They're going to try it, but let's be real. Let's be real. The state's not going to be able to pull this off. And then the defense is just going to get up there and say, hey, what was the deal you took? Did you really have another choice? He's going to say no. No further questions, Your Honor. It's crazy. Rice Street said no plea deals. We don't want any pleas, Rice Street. We ain't scared. Let me call 660 back because they just called. And then I want to go through a couple other things too. Hey, 660, this is ClassE from the Music Morning Show. How are you?
I'm doing good, my brother.
Good. Who am I speaking with?
My name's Davin McKinney.
Davin's in the building. All right, Davin, what's on your mind?
Hey, so listen, I am a current police officer. I can't tell you what department I work at.
Oh, well, thank you for your service, friend.
Thank you. So I remember you were talking about the guys on probation and parole.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just saying that, you know, as simple as someone getting a vehicle accident, they make contact with an officer that's violating parole. I know people in the past, officers that would target guys that on parole, just try to talk to them just so that they can get them in trouble. So I think that, you know, that guy's taking
don't
that parole.
say that, man. Dang.
I'm sorry. I can't tell you. No, I'm just saying in general.
Yeah.
You know, and it's sad to say, but it is what it is, you know. And I think that by him taking that parole, 13 years, you know, stats, you know, it's hard for him to come out clean.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
he's gonna get in contact with an officer. Let's say, for example, if he could be any conversation and stuff like that, they got to run his number. Guess what? They got to report to the probation and parole, and that right there is just good enough to violate his parole or probation.
yeah, I mean, think about it. If a police officer walks up to you or they pull you over or something, and you know you're having a conversation, I mean, somebody who's on probation, you're already going to be careful as much as you can, right? You don't want to get in trouble for maybe resisting arrest or, you know, being difficult during it. Like, there's so many things that could go wrong just from you saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing.
Well,
that's got to be a skill.
Let's say, for example, if I come in contact with you, whatever, for a simple tail light out, right? So when I run your information, I got to send a response back to the probation parole. Like I say, he's cooperative, vehicle infraction, whatever. That simple as that, you still violating your probation and parole.
Dang, man.
So that's what I'm talking about. So that it's just that simple. So you're gonna have to live a clean life, you know, and it's kind of hard. I'm an officer, and I still try to, you know, I live my life through a glass window, and I still come in contact with officers and stuff like that, you know. So
yeah, that's true.
And I think that you know, the stuff they're using for Thug is not enough. But I think finally opened her mouth and she put all that stuff out in the media about him. She can't go back now.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, this is probably going to get as good as it gets. And do you think, I mean, from your experience, do you think they'll probably try and get more of these done before we get closer to the end, just so they can focus on Thug? Or
I think
what do you
so,
think the
'cause
place?
if they get some of this stuff done, and let's say, for example, if they got to do a mistrial without prejudice or whatever the case may be, and they got to retry them again, well, it might take a little bit of time for to get the the people to for the case, but there ain't that much evidence or ain't that much people they have to go through to try to get Thug.
That's true. Yeah, and
So that's what I think.
They already got Woody to testify. They got Monk Tunk to testify. They got Quindarius Zachary to testify. So I mean, yeah.
I think they did Monk Tunk wrong, but at the same time, he's a grown man. And he complied to the consent. Yeah, so he knew what he was getting himself into. I think that if everyone would have stayed strong together, I think that that'd be hard to prosecute all of them. But by that one guy just admitting that it's a RICO, it kind of looked bad. But it's a 50-50. But like you said, would you put your life in your life or your on the hands of the juror? And I just think that if Young Thug, he's not a convicted felon, so if he didn't do nothing, why do it? By the same time, if he get if he get in trouble, or if he get like convicted, then he's gonna be sick. He losing money. He's a multi-millionaire. By him not performing, by him not making music right now, he actually losing money sitting in jail and prison. So I can see why if Young Thug want to take a plea but get back out and still make money, because he probably paying a lot of money to his lawyer.
Oh, a lot of money for sure.
And I seen that his house up for sale too. So I don't know if that's accurate or not, but he might be losing a lot of money. So he might want to take a plea and get out so that he can start making money again.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, man, first of all, I appreciate all the work that you do, man, sacrificing every day, Dav, and keeping the streets safe. Thank you for calling in, man. You could call in any time, because I always love to hear the perspective from the professionals, and stay safe out there, man.
Well, thank you, man. You know what, man? I was listening to your show earlier today, man, and I could have made an arrest, man. I just thought, like, you know what? Let me listen to this good old fact every day, man.
I appreciate you, man. Hey, stay safe out there and take it easy. Be blessed, brother.
You too, brother. Thank you.
All right, bye.
All right.
Man, you got to hear it from a police officer. Said, man, he sees some things. They run your number and they see what you got going on. That could be it. Zulu Entertainment says you can't violate parole or probation by asking a cop for directions. Oh, for sure. But don't use your turn signal. And I mean, I'm not going to go down that road, but getting pulled over is already stressful enough. Getting pulled over or being in the car with somebody who gets pulled over and you're on probation / parole. I mean, it can go from 0 to 100 real quick. Let me get 706 in here.
Call from
Collect call from Rice Street.
Oh man, the call ended. No, they hung up. Dang. I gotta call him back. We had a collect call from Rice Street. Oh my gosh. Let me call 706 back. That's crazy. 706, good morning. Who am I speaking with?
Good old Rice Street. I got you.
Oh my God, Rice Street's in the building.
Yeah, I got you. Where Amy at? Where Amy at? Everybody are taking y'all down.
It's never
What's going on, boss man?
Good morning,
How you
Rice
doing,
Street.
man?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you calling in so much. You've been such a generous moderator, such a generous person in the chat, giving some great commentary, some great insight. And I just want to take the time to thank you for everything that you've done, man. It's really appreciated, not only on this show, but on the Song That Night Live too. You just been, ever since you came to this community, you've been holding it down. And I cannot thank you enough. I love having you here. But go ahead, I'm gonna let you have the floor.
Oh, like I said, I didn't want nothing, man. I just wanted to call in, you know what I'm saying? Tell you, man, I love your show. Love everything you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, love Club ClassE. You know,
sir.
so hey, I just wanted to call in real quick, man. Just send a shout out and say, hey, man, love what you're doing, boss.
Thank you, Rice Street. I appreciate you, brother. And again, hey, you can call in anytime. I know you're always out here trying to tap the phone lines, trying to get Amy caught up and figure out where the bunker is. It's not gonna happen, Rice Street. But I love you
Hey,
and
just
appreciate
speak a
you.
little
either way.
louder. Speak it a little bit louder. I got you. Come on,
Yeah, gotta go, Rice Street. Sorry, appreciate you though.
All right, man. Have a good one, man.
All right, bye. Rice Street in the building. Man, y'all spam the rice emojis in the chat for Rice Street. A real one. Rice Street has been holding it down here since day one. Since day one. Now, I think there might be ulterior motives. Rice Street might be trying to give me and Amy and a couple more of y'all an extended stay over there at Rice Street Prison. It's not gonna happen though. We CEB gang for life. But I appreciate Rice Street so much. Glad to have you in here, Rice Street. Oh my gosh. All right, let me see what else we're hearing. I'm gonna double check Law and Crime real quick and see if they're saying we're gonna be going anytime soon. Y'all let me know in the chat too if you're hearing any updates. I'm not seeing anything yet. I wanted to go back through these indictments, or through this indictment, the original indictment, and see what Mr. Nichols not only was being charged with, but what some of the facts were that the state was going to introduce as well. Let me see. Violet in here says it still says 9 on Law and Crime. Yeah, Miss Chocolate's in the building says it says 12. Okay, so we maybe got 15 minutes. We'll see. Sean P says Thug was offered and he denied. Yeah, I'm sure they offered him something. There is no way Fannie Willis is going to give him a favorable deal. Amy says they're saying motions have been filed for Paige to recuse herself based off of the comments that she made about fixing the state's sloppiness. My thing is, wouldn't that have been filed? Paige with it. We talked about this yesterday or Monday, Amy. It's not going to happen. You saw what it took for Judge Glanville to be like, hey guys, hey, I gotta go. It took the Georgia Supreme Court intervening for Judge Glanville, the chief judge of Fulton County, to remove himself or recuse himself. Judge Whitaker, as much of a straight shooter she hasn't wanted to grant a mistrial. There is no way in hell that she's going to recuse herself. No, I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. Yeah, Amy said, yeah, just heard them live saying that because she made one statement. Please. Nah. Shout out to Rice Street. That made my day, man. Let me see. Oh, shout out to Nate from Tennessee. I love Tennessee, man. Tennessee is my favorite state in the country. I love that place. Appreciate you being here. The True and Living Brand TV. Nate is in the building. Violet said that should have been filed ASAP after she said what she said. Nah. No. Aphid says, no, she won't recuse herself. That's one more thing that can be brought up on appeal. Now, the other thing is, if there was a motion like there was when Judge Glanville was on the trial from the defense saying, hey, we want Paige Whitaker to recuse herself. And then they went through the process there. If Judge Whitaker maybe grants a certificate of immediate review, but I think if the defense were looking at how things were going, they honestly wouldn't want her to do that. As much as y'all, and I won't say y'all here, but as much as a lot of people are saying Judge Whitaker is biased, she's really played this thing kind of straight down the middle. She's allowed the defense to do what they need to do, and she's shown the prosecution where their missteps are to help us get to that verdict point. So I don't think the defense would want to take a chance with another judge because Judge Whitaker is really just kind of letting this thing play out. And the burden of proof is on the state, and the state has miserably failed to prove anything at this point. The defense has just gotten up during cross-examination and say, hey, You know, with these lyrics, you're an expert. You're an expert on lyrics, right? Well, no, I'm not an expert on lyrics. I'm just an expert on gangs. Okay, so gangs, they use lyrics and they intimidate each other. Yeah, well, I mean, I've never really studied lyrics. If I'm the defense, I want Judge Whitaker to stay right there. Period. Amy said Doug was on his live saying Paige is doing a good job telling people to stop bashing her. Yeah, she's doing, I think so too. He says she's refreshing compared to Glanville, et cetera, et cetera. So who knows? That if I'm on the defense, I don't want Judge Whitaker to go anywhere. Michi says Whitaker will just apply a special instruction to disregard what she said. Oh man. Sean P says Paige is not doing a good job. I disagree. The only thing that annoys me about Judge Whitaker is not even her sneak dissing the state. It's when she cuts off the defense 4, 5, 6 times during cross-examination. She's cut off the defense right when they start cooking. That gets on my nerves. She did it to Leah Abassi. She did it to Lil Doug, Mr. App. Sean P says she could have called a mistrial long ago. I agree, but I don't see her doing that either. When I say a good job, I think she's doing a good job running this trial. I think she could have called a mistrial too. I agree with that. Miss J said Miss Sylvia always has an attitude. I don't know that. I don't watch any of her content. I've just seen some of the things that have happened. It's been interesting. Zulu Entertainment says Judge Whitaker does not decide if she gets recused or not. Another judge decides that. Correct. If there is a motion for her recusal, she must immediately step aside for the other judge to decide. Well, Judge Glanville didn't do that. And that's not necessarily true. Because they can, I mean, I guess it not just depends. If there's a motion, she can still deny the motion. She doesn't have to immediately step aside. We saw Glanville was like, no, I'm not granting that motion. Now she can, they could request a certificate of immediate review and she could deny that as well. But I can't imagine that she would, because Judge Whitaker seems to have been a straight shooter. I'm going to get a couple more phone calls in here. But I really want to go through this indictment. Shout out to Chris Cobb in the building, dropping the 5 bomb. Appreciate you. Just showing some love. Thank you, Chris. And then we've got Amy dropping the 50 bomb. Said just paying the banana tax. Amy, you know, in this state, you have no banana tax, but thank you. Shout out to Amy for dropping the 50 bomb in here. Chris Cobb says love the content. Thank you, Chris. We ain't here doing our thing. Also, shout out to Amy dropping the super sticker with the banana. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Amy, she has bad history with bananas. She almost see, I can't even say that now. Now I have to tell the backstory about Kanye West and the banana story. But yeah, Amy almost died from a banana on one of the morning shows a while ago. So we got to be careful about the bananas around here. We got Randall King in the building. He just gifted the membership, and it looks like Anthony Britt got that membership. Thank you, Randall. Make sure you say thank you. Also, Amy is dropping the super sticker barrage. She's got the cake in there. Oh my goodness. Shout out to Amy. She's also got the pie. And then, what else are we saying? Zulu Entertainment says Supreme Court said that Glanville was in the wrong when that motion was made because it's not his choice to deny it. And then we've got Rebecca Hoover is in here. Good to see you. The world says no eating bananas in court. No, Amy's not allowed to eat bananas, period. Poor thing. And then Amy in here with the other super sticker with the ice cream cone. I appreciate you, Amy. Shout out to Amy for the support. We got Ohio in the building. Shout out to Ohio. And then Howdy Girl in here says, so does this mean that Whitaker will no longer help the state? I mean, if she wants to run a clean trial, she's going to have to. She doesn't really have a choice because the state can't get it together. They even brought in Mr. Abadi, and Adam Abadi's in there. And he's up there stumbling, sounding like Miss Love. So I don't know. It's a mess. Aphis says Whitaker wants her courtroom to run on a strict schedule, a timely schedule. This is not the trial for that. Nope. She should have got out when she had the chance. The World's End said it's not quite a subtle hint. It's lunchtime. Yeah, it's almost lunchtime. Miss J's in here says Secret Labs AI overview. Yes, a judge can refuse to recuse themselves from a case. Reasons a judge may not recuse himself include, looks like Miss J's about to go in. But yeah, we saw that. Yeah. Oh, shout out to Ohio in the building. Okay, let me do this. So I'm going to double check Law and Crime one more time. And then we're going to look at this original indictment. I might take a couple more phone calls. Let me see. There's a few more of y'all that called in. Law and Crime said at 11:11. No updates. Still waiting for court. Thank you for your patience as court schedules are often flexible. Okay, so still no updates from the media. Let me double check X and see. I'm surprised Doug Weinstein hasn't said anything. Shout out to Pretty Face Tia in the building. Hopefully it's Tia. Is it Tia or Taya? It's probably Taya. Shout out to Pretty Face Taya in the building. Dropped a super sticker. Thank you so much. Do we have any updates about court coverage? Here we go. Kathy Russin from Law and Crime says 10 minutes ago, obviously they're still negotiating pleas with the remaining defendants. Public/media still in the hallway. Nothing happening in the hallway. All right, let me see if she said anything else. Oh, Bruce Harvey. Oh, Bruce Harvey is a wild. This is crazy. I gotta show this video. Hold on a second. Let me find this for y'all. Somebody mentioned Bruce Harvey, excuse me, wiping his nose. Bruce Harvey is wild. Northside said, ClassE, I think Nichols low-key snitched on Shannon. Please read his plea and what he pleaded to and let me know. No, he did not. We read it earlier. He didn't snitch on anybody. He actually said he wasn't going to testify. And to be honest, the only reason he was still sitting over there with the defendants is because he didn't want to testify. So salute and shout out to him. Let me see if I can find this video. Shout out to Black Butterfly in the building. Rice Street said, just got off the phone with Mr. Sprinkle. Longitude and latitude is on the way. Yeah. Stop the cap. You'll never find me. You never will. And they actually did an interview. Let me see here. After Mr. Nichols took his plea deal. Let me see if I can find it. YSL. I'm going to find it for y'all. Just give me a second. Miss J says, I love this room. It is so stress-free compared to many of the other channels I have been on. Oh, thank you for being here, Miss J. I'm trying to find. And I think it was from 11 Alive, but for some reason I can't find it. Let's see. We got 11 Alive. Y'all bear with me 1 second. I'm going to find it. But here's the video that I saw. Bruce Harvey is cutting up, man. Look, y'all look at this. And I'm trying to find the full interview.
You know.
Look at Bruce Harvey wiping his nose. All right, y'all give me 1 second. I'm gonna see if I can find this. Let me put up the Be Right Back screen real quick.
Now, and Mr. Harvey, are we ready with Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
All right.
Do you want him at the podium or do you want him here seated?
I think at the podium, please. Thank you.
All right, y'all give me 1 second. I'm gonna try and find this interview.
Thank you.
Now let's have him at the podium because he's going to have to take an active part in this entry. All right.
Okay, sure.
Sergeant, can you swear him in, please?
Raise your right hand. So I affirm testimony you give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
All right. State, spell your first and last name for the court, so now to the mic, please, sir.
Marvius Nichols, Quamarvious, last name Nichols, Nichols.
Did you get that? Is that? Okay. Do you want to do it again? All right. Slow down. Your name. Spell it for this young lady right here.
Okay, my name is Marvius Nichols. First name Quamarvious. My last name Nichols, Nichols.
And Mr. Nichols, are you the same person referred to as Quamarvius Nichols on indictment 22 SC 183572?
Yes.
And are you at this time taking or under the influence of any alcohol, drugs, or medicine?
No.
Have you had the opportunity to sign this indictment with your attorney, Mr. Bruce Harvey?
Yes.
How old are you?
29.
And how far did you go in school?
I got my GED.
I did not hear you.
I got my GED.
Are you able to read, write, and understand the English language?
Yes.
Do you understand that in this indictment, you were initially charged with count 1, conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, which carries a sentence of 5 to 20 years. You were also charged with count 49 in this indictment, which is murder, which carries a sentence of life. You were charged with 2 counts of participation in criminal street gang activity.
Did y'all hear that?
Count
She said you can charged with murder, which carries a count of life. Oh, and they just let that go. I cannot find the press conference because there were some cameras set up and they must have canceled the press conference, which is why we got that short clip from Thugger Daily. I guess they canceled the press conference yesterday, which is unfortunate. Let me see. Okay, and I should have just read through this tweet. Thugger Daily said they never did a full press conference. He ghosted the news, but he did a small interview on YouTube. Oh, here we go. See, if you read, you'll learn some things.
Well,
Here we go. Shout out to Thugger Daily, man. I'm telling y'all, Thugger Daily is the GOAT. Here we go. So this is about 15 minutes. Let's check out this interview. Also, we had some more super chats come in. Thank you to Tia. Of course, I had it right the first time, and I should have just went with my gut. Shout out to Tia in here. She dropped the 5 bomb, just giving a high five, showing some love. Thank you for being here, Tia. All right, here we go. So I'm going to double check the coverage again. And looks like we're good so far. All right, let's check out this interview. I have not seen this yet. And this is from shout out to Miss LJ Hall. So In the Know with Miss LJ Hall has been on this YouTube channel before. I wonder if she's watching right now. I'm going to drop the link in the chat for y'all to this video. And I'm also going to drop the link for her. I didn't realize she had a YouTube channel. So shout out to In the Know with Miss LJ Hall. And I'll also pin the link to her channel in the description. All right, let's check this out.
Well,
Yeah. You can step over this way.
let's see here.
Right, so what's the first question? What do you have to say? What do you think about? Why did you do it?
Well, if you could just say your name and spell it for us, just in case anyone else is going through
My
this
name
later.
is Nicole Westmore.
You're Bruce Harvey?
Bruce Harvey.
So walk us through what you think of this plea deal you were able to negotiate.
Well, insofar as it resolves all of these charges against Mr. Nichols, I think it is an exceptional result. It's
I
an
agree.
exceptional result for the following reasons. No murder charges. No gang charges.
Yeah.
No factual acknowledgments required by the state.
This is crazy.
No other charges except for one conspiracy charge that was factually underpinned by convictions that Mr. Nichols already had from almost 6 years ago. So that result, I think, is an excellent result for him. It resolves all of these cases.
You were very specific in which parts of the RICO you admitted to. Explain that and why that's so important moving forward.
Well, that's exactly what I was referring to before. You know, the RICO charge in this case was a RICO conspiracy. And underlying the RICO conspiracy were all the 100+ factual predicates, some of which have already been resolved by and against Mr. Nichols. Some of them we hadn't even gotten to. And I don't believe the state would have been able to prove Mr. Nichols' responsibility for those predicate acts. So this was, yeah, we were in a conspiracy. Yeah, we acknowledge that factually the underpinnings of the RICO conspiracy are satisfied by what already was presented and what he had already pled to, but nothing else. No, as we said, no murder, no guns, nothing else. No gang charges. Listen, there is no gang charge. He did not acknowledge being in a gang, being responsible for being in a gang, committing any kind of violent act on behalf of any gang. Yes, I was in a overall conspiracy. Thank you, see you later.
You were behind kind of the original mistrial motion that led to this flurry of negotiations. Just walk us through kind of how it went from that to taking a plea.
Well, the state made several, errors in the case until which we had to ask for a mistrial. So we were satisfied that the judge, she heard us and our motion and asking for a mistrial, and that, errors could not be repeatedly occur in front of the jury and admissible evidence being heard by the jury. And so we're glad that the judge heard our motion and said, do you want a mistrial, and will you take a mistrial without prejudice? And and then we went into negotiation, and we're pleased with the outcome of our negotiation.
How relieved are you after, being part of Georgia's longest trial that, your portion of this at least is over?
Well, now we can wear B suits and A suits. No. How relieved are we? Once you're in that routine and once you're there with your fellow lawyers and your fellow co-defendants, it's almost ritualistic. We were there every day. We were working every day. So, we're relieved because the result for Mr. Nichols was the right result. Now we have to deal with the rest of the world. They can release us from our kidnapped status.
You're gonna miss courtroom once?
Yes and no. Yes, clearly. But I'm glad that all of us could work that resolution. And that resolution, again, from Mr. Nichols was no gang, no factual acknowledgments, no murders. So it is, he can go on about his life and get out. He's a young man. He's a nice-looking man. He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that this projects him forward and doesn't leave him in the lurch.
So you're almost, sorry.
I saw that you choked up during, and this had to be a difficult decision because during this time, he's become family in a sense.
Yeah, very much.
How difficult was it actually deciding not to go with the mistrial without prejudice versus go ahead and making that deal?
Do it again.
Yes.
That allows the case to continue and doesn't resolve the case and doesn't give any sense of finality. Without the factual acknowledgments, without agreeing
factual acknowledgments was a big deal.
Contentions, this ends the case. It's over. A mistrial without prejudice means it's subject to recurring. And there's a whole other group of severed defendants that are still out there and awaiting resolution. And I think we're in the best posture at this particular point with this particular judge in the 2 years that we've been litigating this and everything that has happened to strike at this particular point.
And that's a great point, which I think we haven't talked about. The factual acknowledgments and being forced to testify is what got Monk in the situation that he's in. Now we see in this instance, Mr. Nichols is done. He doesn't have to show back up to court unless they ask him to testify, which in that case, he's not going to need immunity for anything because this part of his trial or this part of the indictment is basically gone other than his probation. So, essentially, if they call him to testify, he could go up there and plead the fifth. He could go up there and not cooperate. But either way, that's a big win too.
A lot of people don't understand that, so I'm glad that you pointed that out.
Okay, two.
Doubling up.
I got in a fight with two the other day.
Oh, sorry.
It comes with the territory.
You were talking about, you guys do a word of the day.
Yes.
Can you talk about that and kind of what's next for him once he gets out?
Well,
that's right, Sean.
He is very receptive. He's like a sponge. He doesn't have a formal education. He doesn't have a consolidated family upbringing. But he's very curious and he's very smart. So we would use a word or get a word a day and we would define it. We would use it in a sentence, and you can see his intellectual curiosity. He's a really good kid and a smart kid, and I want him. I truly.
Oh, sorry.
Oh man, look at him.
2 years, over 2 years with our client.
It's a lot.
And And like Attorney Harvey saying, he's intelligent, and he's so much more than unfortunately what comes out during a trial process. And you know, the word a day, he asked the word a day. Myself, Attorney Harvey, we go back and forth of picking a word, and we teach him the pronunciation of the word, and then, you know, 2-3 weeks later, he'll use a word that he learned 2-3 weeks before, and he keeps it going. And so he's a great
They bonded, man.
And we're glad that this is over for him. It's been 2 years too long.
All right, now I'm not going to play the rest of the video because I really want y'all to go over and support In the Know with Miss LJ Hall. A super dope video. I'm glad she got this interview too. Let me go ahead over here and comment too. So I dropped the link in the chat. Let me see. Oh yeah, and y'all can go subscribe to her channel too. Go subscribe, show her some love. She's at 215 subscribers. How many people we got in here? Should be over 2,000. Yeah, y'all go ahead and go over there and get her to 1,000 subscribers, get her monetized. That was dope. I'm glad she got this interview. Go finish watching this on her channel. The link is in the description too. All right, so I'm hearing differing reports when it comes to court today. It sounds like they're working on another plea, possibly. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it. It sounds like they might be working on a plea for the other Quay that was in the courtroom. Let me see if I could find anything, and I'll keep y'all updated. What we might do is we might take a break. And then if court comes back, we might, we'll go live then, kind of like we did yesterday. But I want to see, is anybody hearing anything so far? I haven't seen anything from Thugger Daily or anyone who's in the court. Let's see. Nothing there. We've got, okay, here we go. Kathy Russin over at Law and Crime says Lil Rod has left because of a toothache. Oh my gosh. I'm assuming they will not be holding trial without one of the defendants. Okay, so there it is. We're going to keep an eye on it, but it's looking like, let's see, they're obviously negotiating plea deals with defendants, public. Okay, we already covered that. So it's looking like that might be it. Shout out to Debbie Duncan says, I'm in tears. I love that he got close. Sometimes in life, all we need is one person to care. And I mean, this is one of the best plea deals I've seen. Getting a murder charge drop. I was going to go through this indictment, but we might have to do it tomorrow. I see. I got a little bit of time. Do y'all want to look at this indictment and see actually some of the details behind what they actually had on Mr. Nichols? I think this will be interesting to see. If y'all ready to get up out of here, we still have over 1,700 of you in the building. If y'all are ready to get up out of here, type a 1 in the chat. If you want to look at this indictment and see what actually was going on, type a 2 in the chat. Y'all let me know. Oh, we got Violet saying yes, please. Michi said yes, please. He's got a toothache. The legend said, did y'all see Bruce Harvey wipe his nose? Yeah, that was wild. So I see 2, 2, 2, 2. Two, twos, twos. Amy said lunch. You gonna get your lunch, Amy. Hold on. Kristen Lee said whatever you want to do. I appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and look at it. So we got 1, 49, 50, 51, 53, and 54. All right, we already went through count 1 the other day. So let's go and see if we can find what actually did Mr. Nichols do. Let's just scroll through here and see when he's mentioned. We covered some of what they were trying to get Jeffrey Williams on. We've got Demekion Garlington, Trontavious Stevens, and this is count 1. Shannon Stillwell, DeMonte Kendrick, Demise McMullen, Shannon. We've got Javarius Bradford in here. Still no Mr. Nichols. Justin Cobb was acting up. Mr. Williams, Trontavious Stevens. Still no Mr. Nichols on count 1. We got Demise McMullen. Y'all have heard his name, Walter Murphy. I appreciate y'all being here. Y'all said you're hanging with me. All right, cool. We've got Walter Murphy again. Demise McMullen again. Demise. Jaden. Jimmy. Oh, not Jimmy. Why, Jimmy? Why? We've got Demekion Garland and Antonio Sledge. We went through that when we talked about his plea deal. Where's Mr. Nichols at? Did he even do anything? Mr. Stevens, Shannon Stillwell, DeMonte Kendrick. I'm doing this the tough way. Let's do this the easy way. We're just going to search for Mr. Nichols and see what we can find. All right, so we got to number 64. Here we go. Defendant Quamarvius Nichols, an associate of YSL, did commit in the felony offense of possession of an MDMA with intent to distribute a controlled substance in violation of Georgia pursuant OCGA 161330, which is an act of racketeering activity under 1614.3, an overt act in the furtherance of the conspiracy. Mr. Nichols, an associate of YSL, did commit the felony offense of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. He had a handgun after having been convicted of a felony in Indictment 12 SC such and such in the Superior Court of Fulton County, Georgia, for the offense of criminal damage to property in the second degree. And that was back in 2013. Mr. Nichols, an associate of YSL, did commit the felony offense of participation in a criminal street gang activity. When, while associated with the criminal street gang, to wit, YSL participate in criminal street gang activity through the commission of at least one of those offenses enumerated in paragraph 1. We read that the other day. All right, let's keep going. The defendant, Mr. Nichols, an associate of YSL, did commit the felony offense of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Okay, we got that one. We've got 95. Miles Farley, Wooney Lee, Mr. Nichols, Shannon Stillwell, associates of YSL, did appear in a video released on social media with Shannon Stillwell wearing red and a YSL necklace or a chain stating, "I just beat a murder rap, pay my lawyer $30 for that. Me and my slimes above the law." And I think Max Shard has mentioned this a few times. An overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. Miles Farley, Demekion Garlington, Quamarvius Nichols, and Shannon Stillwell, associates of YSL, did unlawfully and with malice aforethought commit the felony offense of murder. All right, here it is. By causing the death of Shamel Drinks, a human being, by shooting Shamel Drinks, a rival gang member, with a firearm in violation of Georgia law 1651, which is an act of racketeering activity under 1614.3 and an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. And guess what, y'all? This just disappeared. This is gone. So you can just remove Mr. Nichols' name from this part of the indictment because they let it go. So it's just on Miles Farley, Demekion Garlington, and then, of course, Shannon Stillwell, which is very interesting. What else happened? The defendant, Mr. Nichols, an associate of YSL, did commit the felony offense of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon previously convicted of a felony involving the use or possession of a firearm. For the offenses of possession of an MDMA with the intent to distribute and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon in March of 2018. Gone. Zulu Entertainment said he literally just beat a murder rap. It's gone. It never happened. Sheesh. This system is insane, y'all. And then we mentioned this already, but we'll go back to it. Miles Farley, Demekion Garlington, Mr. Nichols, and Shannon Stillwell did unlawfully commit the felony offense of participation in criminal street gang activity when, while associated with a criminal street gang, to wit, YSL participate in criminal street gang activity through the commission of at least one of the offenses enumerated in paragraph 1, the murder of Shamil Drinks, a rival gang member, and act involving violence and possession or use of a weapon as alleged in Act 173 of this court. Yikes. What else we got? Count 49. So this was the second count. And this was the murder of, as we know, Shamil Drinks. Let's see the details behind this one. Oh, they didn't give any more details? That's crazy. And the grand jurors aforesaid, in the name and behalf on the citizens of Georgia, do charge and accuse Miles Farley, aka Slato, aka Lil Miles, Demekion Garlington, aka D, aka I don't know how to say that. Quamarvius Nichols, aka Quay, Shannon Stillwell, aka Shannon Jackson, aka SB. They charge with the offense of murder for the said accused in the city of Fulton, in county of Fulton County in the state of Georgia on the 14th day of March 2022 did unlawfully and with malice aforethought cause the death of Shamil Drinks, a rival gang member, a human being, by shooting him with a firearm, contrary to the laws of said state, the good order, peace, and dignity therefore. They just let him go. That's gone. Count 49 is gone, y'all. Count 50. They charged and accused these same people with the offense of participation in criminal street gang activity. For the said accused in the county of Fulton in the state of Georgia on the 14th day of March 2022 did unlawfully, while associated with a criminal street gang, to wit YSL, participate in criminal gang activity through the commission of at least one of the offenses enumerated in paragraph 1. The murder of Shamil Drinks, a rival gang member, as alleged in count 49 of this indictment, contrary to the laws of said state, the good order and peace and dignity thereof. Count 51, murder, gone. Count 53, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon previously convicted of a felony involving the use of or possession of a firearm, gone. And y'all can see that here. 53, gone. 54, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, gone. And then, of course, he's mentioned here at the end and several other parts of this indictment. Absolutely insane. What do y'all think? That's crazy. This one right here, I will never understand or get over. Now, obviously, it's because of lack of evidence.
So what we have ultimately is that there is no evidence, none.
But the fact that they just let this man walk on a murder charge is something I don't think we've seen in a while. Either way, all right, it's lunchtime. Y'all already saw the comments in the chat. Thank you again. Welcome to the gold side. Angel Eyes over there. Appreciate you. Thank you to everybody who supported today. Shout out to all of y'all for calling into the show, being a part of the show, making this possible. We are going to be back tomorrow morning at 9:30, no matter what happens, because there's always something to talk about or refresh when it comes to what's going on in the community, on the music side, and this YSL trial specifically. So if y'all could do me a couple favors, make sure you like the video on your way out. If you haven't done that yet, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any time that we go live. I appreciate y'all. I hope y'all have a great rest of your day. You know what to do. Keep growing, keep pushing, and keep it classy. We gone. Peace.